My name is Justin Lara, and this is my Scenario 2 assignment for Aviation 326 Commercial Flight 2 at Liberty University. In this scenario, I'm a commercial rated pilot, and a friend wants me to cover for him. I'll be flying a DJ around for a traffic segment on his radio show. He asked me to circle an accident at a low altitude. The first thing that comes to mind here is if the flight is legal to begin with. The regulations on what's legal to do and what's acting like a carrier are very complex. It does not appear that I am holding out since they came to me, so it seems like it is compliant with AC 120 Tech 12A. This scenario lacks some important information though, like who's providing the aircraft. If it's going to be my own aircraft, this should be considered a wet lease, which the FAA considers to be a no-go. I'm not sure if I have already had a contract with this company or if I'm trying to operate under my friend's contract. There's many variables that could affect the legality of the flight, and depending on those variables, I might want to contact a local FSDO to discuss it with them. As with any flight, we need to consider the PAVE checklist. This should be done before the flight, but should be revisited throughout as things change. As the PAC explains, P stands for pilot, so competency, condition of health, mental and emotional state, fatigue, and other variables. I'm all good to go there. A is for aircraft, so performance, equipment, and airworthiness. I don't know what aircraft we're flying, so definitely will need to figure out which one we are and do all my calculations for that aircraft. Also, we need to consider if I have the necessary familiarity with the systems and instruments. V is for the V in environment. We'll need to consider weather, air traffic control, nav aids, terrain, takeoff and landing areas, and surrounding obstacles. This is a big one for the flight, especially if he wants us to fly at a low altitude. I'll talk to that a bit more on the next slide. I would only do this flight in VFR conditions since we're flying at low altitudes and probably wouldn't be able to see the traffic in IFR anyway. Finally, E is for external pressures or the influence of the purpose of the flight on decisions. For this scenario, maybe I'm trying to prove myself to the DJ to get more work with him, or maybe I don't want to let my friend down. Since he wants to fly at a low altitude around this accident, we must consider 14 CFR 91.119 to ensure we don't break minimum safe altitude regulations. Over congested areas, and we're in a city, we have a minimum safe altitude of 1,000 feet above the highest obstacle within a 2,000 foot radius. So maybe the accident is at a surface elevation of 200 feet, but the tallest structure in the area is a 600 foot tall building. We can't go lower than 1,800 feet. Additionally, if the engine fails, we need to be able to put the plane down without causing undue harm to persons or property. So we need to be able to glide somewhere we can reasonably put the plane down, and it's not the freeway if there's heavy traffic. Another important regulation for this flight is the VFR fuel requirements. Normally we do fuel calculations to confirm we'll be able to make it to our destination. However, on this flight we don't really have a destination and we must pay extra attention to our time in the air to ensure we don't run out of fuel. 14 CFR 91.151 states that for day VFR, we must be able to reach our destination with 30 minutes of fuel remaining. For flights that don't have a set route or destination and are sort of just flying around, I like to set a timer. Let's say we got 50 gallons burning 10 gallons per hour. I would set it for 4 hours 30 minutes and make sure we head back to the airport with enough time to get there before it hits zero. To circle around the accident, it may be a great time to use some of the techniques learned from 8s on pylons. The pivotal altitude is a function of ground speed, so this may not work if our minimum safe altitude keeps us above our pivotal altitude for desired speed. But if it does work, the 8s on pylons, but around a single pylon, would allow us to keep the same side picture with the accident. According to the Airplane Flying Handbook, altitude is adjusted throughout the maneuver to account for wind's effect on ground speed. This image shows that as our reference point falls behind, we must climb, and if it's ahead, we descend. Bank angle is irrelevant to pivotal altitude but would allow us to adjust the radius of the turns around the accident. While pitch is used for small adjustments in response to wind, increasing ground speed with power would allow us to do the maneuver at a higher altitude. These are the references I used. And that concludes my presentation. Again, my name is Justin Lara. Thank you for watching.